The bad guys is back in the building. You are now tuning into the Recap with the GoodFellaz Show. You already know what it is.
Come on!
It's your boy Tommy Gunz, aka International Guns, in the building as always. Alongside the other GoodFellaz, Shah Montana, what up?
You already know, baby, it's Leonardo da Vinci, aka Marlon Bando, in the casa.
Of course, representing for the culture, heritage hip-hop's own Karev Yah, talking that talk.
Peace and blessings, and welcome back to the best podcast out there, certified by Heritage Hip Hop, GoodFellaz TV, and you, the people. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment, and join the table because the discussions we have are classic. Welcome to the Classic Podcast. Peace.
Special shout out to my man Dav Noble and Big A. They will be in the building a little bit later. You already know how that goes. And of course, special shout out to the super producer himself, Sayjin, aka Beyond Mayhem Media, doing what he does. So now that the introductions are out the way, I want to say we got a special interview. I want to say we have a special guest and they're going to talk about special things, but this ain't no guest really. This is like family. And this is us just chopping up and admiring the accomplishments and congratulating accomplishments and just talking, man, talking about life, talking about music, art, and everything in between. So now that segue is out the way, introducing, welcome back to the Recap with the GoodFellaz Show. The homie, one of our favorite artists, period, ReachingNOVA.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here for the second time. Yeah, last time was great. I imagine this time won't be any different. Let's get it.
Facts, man. And like I said, we go back so far that on the one hand, like I said, we're past the points of, so what's your favorite color? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we family right here. So now we really just talking about life and music and of course, new projects and all that. But first thing first, congratulations. And for everybody out there tuned in right now to the Recap for the GoodFellaz Show, perhaps this is your first time watching. Perhaps this is your first time hearing about ReachingNOVA. So we're going to reintroduce him, but we want to say, ReachingNOVA, man, you've been doing your thing for a minute. We know you have the brand new project.
Yes.
Got the internet going crazy, got the streets on fire, very well received. I see the plaques. Man, a lot of big energy going on right now. So introduce yourself for those who might not know and let them know about the new project.
Hey, I mean, I'm just a guy from the Bronx, you know what I'm saying? My name is ReachingNOVA, and I'm honored to be here. We just dropped our third solo release, Becoming Timeless. I personally believe, you know, this is my best piece of work yet, at least as a solo artist, and maybe just overall anything I've touched yet. And yeah, it is getting heavy reception and a lot of love, and you know, just to kind of draw back to that, I remember the first private listening party, and you guys were definitely the first group to be walked into this body of work. So, you know, it's kind of cool circling back with you guys now that all the smoke is kind of settling and you know, that whole process is taking action. So yeah, man, it's cool. Time is cool like that.
What I thought was very dope about the whole release of this project is you introduced the artwork, and it was a big deal. It wasn't just like some Master P cover and all right, cool, here's the album. It wasn't not just all right, let me get my mans to draw something. Like, you took time into. Matter of fact, you can see the album cover right here, Becoming Timeless. That joint right there is fire. It looks like art. Honestly, it looks like art, you know? So Becoming Timeless, describe how is this album different from your previous albums? Because you've had a few previous albums, very well received. I mean, not just because we cool, but like, yo, like I fucks with a lot of the products you put out previously. Each album, I feel like, and this is going all the way back to King's Legacy. We'll get into that further in a minute, but going back to when you were in a group, to now, there's definitely been a transition and a growth. What is different about this album to you? How would you describe this album? As a matter of fact, what word would you use to describe this new album?
Enchanting.
Okay.
Yeah. But for a less prettier word, I'll go with authentic.
Come on!
It's probably my most authentic body of work, you know. I could tie a lot of words into it, you know. There's just so many things. Art, you know, like you said.
Art.
It is. And just to circle back to what you were saying about the album cover, you know, I wanted to make sure, like, the music is great. I believe the presentation is just as important for me. You know, I remember going out there when we would buy CDs and the actual experience. And, you know, in a sense, I won't say, well, yeah, I could say that experience is no longer. I'm thankful to have experienced that. You know, one of the most exciting things about getting a CD or cassette back in the day, you know, was just really just taking a booklet and looking at the paper, you know, the cover. Like, you get to the details, and of course, the lyrics were in there and the thank yous and all of that was cool. But I wanted to have something that stood out, an inspiration to this album artwork is and guys, if any of you know where I'm going at with this, correct me if I'm wrong, please, but I do believe it's the Michael Jackson Dangerous album.
Okay.
Artwork, and I look at that artwork and I go, man, that's fire. Like, I could never listen to this album and be like, I could still want that as a piece of art on my wall.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted. So if you never heard the album, at least you guys, damn, that's fire. And the beauty of it is there's so many layers to it, like so many layers to it. And it's a conversational piece, and I wanted that not just for the music, but for the cover, which, circle back to what I was saying about the experience of buying a CD. Well, this experience is where, you know, you get to look at the art and the music, you know, I like to think it's great, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing, like the artwork to the music, whole experience.
Yeah. That's a great point that you brought up, because I remember, I mean, I feel like half the reason that we're doing this show right now, or anything that we've done in musically since back then, was similar to you. I remember being a kid, and that was when an album was an experience. It wasn't just the music, it was the actual buying the album, ripping the plastic off. You know, like you said, looking at the artwork and the lyric book and every little detail. I remember just looking at, like, wow, like the whole process of putting an album together. It was just something, it was art. It was just unique. You know, I remember even going to, what were they? Sam Goody's, or like, I forget the name of like the CD stores at one point, but you would go in there back in the day.
Tower Records.
Yeah. Remember, you would go in there and they had the headphones, and you could actually listen to like a lot of the new releases.
Yes.
And I just remember being in the store, and I just remember like the Roots, like Tupac, like there was just a certain group of albums I was just listening to them. Now it was an experience. I was like, yo, and it's dope that you brought that back, because in 2022, me personally, well, not just me, but a lot of people, I think one of the biggest gripes about music, and more so hip hop, in 2022 is that the experience is gone. Now it's just cats dropping music on streaming platforms, you know, like now they don't even want you to buy shit. They're like, all right, cool, just stream it on Apple Music or whatever. And you know, maybe perhaps it's easier, perhaps they make more money doing. I'm not sure, maybe that's depending on their deal, but the experience is gone, you know? Like, I don't look forward to new music as much anymore, because it's just songs. To see what you're doing, to take this time and this effort to put together a body of work in the truest form, very respectful.
I appreciate it. And you know what, now that I think about it, with the artwork, maybe it's an unintentional inspiration, you know what I'm saying? But another album cover that I could say, you know, would be in the same realm almost, conversational piece is Kanye's graduation album cover.
Yo,
It has, it's like a drawing, and it has all of those,
hell yeah.
the details that I would love to have a conversation with him of what's this all about, and what that kind of thing.
I would go one step further.
Yeah.
I was thinking more of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and even the Cruel Summer artwork.
Okay.
I don't know, like for all my Kanye West, remember the compilation album that Good Music did?
I remember that. It was like the statue almost kind of.
Yeah. Like
they had like
Greek.
a Watch the Throne kind of vibe.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah. Yeah, man. And those are, well, first of all, those are big artists to be even talking about or discussing. But yeah, like you see like a lot of those artists who have these fan bases who over time stay with them and rock with them, because these tend to be the artists that put more effort into their music other than, all right, let me throw some songs out.
Right.
Because I feel like Gucci Mane will just throw songs out every couple months and shit. And, I guess it bangs somewhere, but after a while, it's just like songs. It's not like, I can't think of the last Gucci Mane project and be like, yo, you remember that last album? Like that shit was, to me, just like, okay, cool. I heard a new Gucci Mane song. So in this era, to me, it's more like it's about the single as opposed to the album and the body of work.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see what you're saying when you're talking about everything revolving predominantly around the single, and then so you just throw these other records that you made, and but the idea is to push the single. Yeah, that seems to be what things are. Everything's very fast food, kind of, revolving door kind of feel. It's been like that for a long time, especially since the internet has played a role in how we listen to music. Aside from like pirating back in the day, like that was like still optional. You still went to the bootleg store and bought your J Hood versus J.R. Ryder mixtape. You know what I'm saying?
Block versus State Property.
I guess for me as an artist, one thing, I like to treat people or others how I like to be treated. And one of the best things an artist can do is show a listener that I value your time. So when you listen to this music, you're not just, damn, I heard the single months ago, I could have just stuck to this, or, oh, this song was cool. You might throw a record on a playlist. Yeah, I would like to think the whole album can be like, this is a playlist. This is the playlist. You know what I'm saying? And give them quality music. Give them quality. You have this person's attention. What are you gonna do with it? Are you?
Yeah.
So I just consciously choose to give the listener an experience. That's what I would want, and that's what some of my favorite artists did for me, especially growing up. So that's just me doing what I know.
Yeah, man. So tell us about the new album in your words. Just describe the process of creating it. Where did you get the title? Where did you get the concepts? Where did you get the song? Just tell us, how was the process of this new album?
The process was lengthy. Like, it was pretty long. Because I refused to drop it when the pandemic was at its peak. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna do this in the midst of this noise. So it just kind of bought me more time to work on it. There's records that I originally had for it, and I just put them to the side, or I just dropped them already and just decided to create new music. Then there was records I was holding off for, for a minute. Like, nah, this is going on the album. This is not something I'm just gonna throw out there. I want this to be part of an experience. So the title, Becoming Timeless, I've had it, man, Tommy, I mean, when we go back to the first album, I was listening to it the other day, and I listened to a song called The Winner Circle. And I said, where them bottles of Ciroc at? Becoming Timeless on her hat, she needs to rock that. And I was making Becoming Timeless hats in 2016. I fell back from it. They were selling. I fell back from it because I'm like, I want to name my title this. And the album that was coming out was not going to be becoming timeless. That, you know, I just put it's about time, you know, because that had several reasons too. That wasn't just what's up front and surface. There was depth to that title. But I knew it wasn't time for that one. I had that title, Becoming Timeless. I've had it since 2014. Yes. Wow. Yeah, I even have a blog, like a secret blog that was becomingtimeless.com. And I would just literally write about my day, or I'd take a picture and write about it, or a thought and write it and share with it. And it was like my little secret place, you know what I'm saying? Where, but, you know, I kind of stopped doing that because, again, the name, I'm like, I'm not going to draw to this right now because I'm going to be tight if like some other artist drops the album, because that's actually on me. I'm putting that out there and I need to reserve that. So I fell back from that. I'll probably get back on it because writing is very therapeutic for me and I'm a writer at core. So yeah, that's where the title just it just popped in my mind one day. And I'm like, that's a beautiful title. That's powerful.
Yeah, you gotta protect just certain ideas sometimes.
100%. Yeah, man. Especially the ones that you really believe in, and you're like, well, I can achieve this. It's just gonna take me some time. And instead of being excited and exerting that energy via conversation, and you know, the thing is that can be dangerous because sometimes when we talk about something we're excited about, we tend to lose that excitement over time because we use that energy. And we spoke about it so much that we just decided to not do anything about it. So I'm like, nah, like, I know I want this to exist on its own. And it's, you know, it speaks for itself. I think it's a timeless album, you know, title. Album titles are important to me too. Yeah. When I think about it, I'm like, you know, this is like your resume. This is not something that's just gonna bypass me. I'm a legacy guy, you know, so that's longevity. Yeah. And I don't believe you need to be financially rich to have a legacy. No. This is just like, this is my story and the branches that are attached to me and those that will be, and my grandchildren and my children. And this is, you know, I want them to be able to hear this album like, yo, this is my pop right here. Like, check this out. Like, yo, he's ill. Like, yeah, he is. You know, and because I am. Come on! And I want to pass that down. I don't, this is my journal. You know, this is the artifacts I'm leaving behind. And I guess that's why I choose, like, I will always implement the element of entertainment in the music, of course, because that's how you still have to keep them interested. You know, if I'm just talking to you about me and just giving the raw and rigid and it just rhymes and the beats are just cool, like but you still want them to, it's not really entertainment in a sense, it's just a lot of truth all over the place, and people relate to them because they're very human and vulnerable, and that's what a lot of rappers don't do. Well, many more do it now, but like, I think vulnerability is also very necessary.
Hip-hop is always, there's been the braggadocious part of it, and then there's been the introspective part of it as well. So definitely, you know.
I like to put all of that on there.
Yeah, because otherwise it's just, I mean, this is just me personally. Everybody's different. Me, one of the things I found, or one of the reasons I fell in love with hip-hop was the authenticity, that word you brought up before. It started with the struggle. Before we had these super producers and we were selling out arenas in all around the globe. Yo, it started off in cats' rec rooms in the projects or at the park jams, and they didn't have all this equipment. They had a couple of turntables and they had to wire that up. Like, you know, they had to work their magic just to get the equipment to work out. Like, there wasn't professional tables and recording equipment until way later. Yeah. The culture made the most of it using what they had. Yeah. Before it was these multi-million recording studios, cats is recording in their room.
Egg cartons on the wall.
Yeah. And that's what, to me, made hip-hop so ill, is that the hustle has always been big with me, like making something out of nothing. You know, I take this situation and I'm gonna sell you the struggle and hopefully get rich off of it. But, you know, so that, you know, I'm gonna sell you the struggle so you can learn and either hear my story or maybe learn from my story, or maybe it inspires you in your story. But those are the elements for me that made me fall in love with hip hop. So I think it's so dope just to see you, on your level, just, it's almost like, remembering, like paying homage to that, in your own way.
Appreciate that.
So, but real quick, I talk a lot. My man Shah Montana though got some questions for you. So Shah Montana, ReachingNOVA in the building. The new project is out. The Recap with the GoodFellaz Show, and I know you got some questions for him.
Yeah, I mean, what inspired you to do another album? Kind of like accomplish something different from that you haven't accomplished before? Are you trying to put that piece?
I definitely wanted to expand my strengths. I wanted to exercise my weaknesses. Music I love, like it's, for me, default is it's art. You know what I'm saying? So it's, I think I just create and then everything else happens. Like, okay, album artworks and this and that, but I just love to write, record, so I guess that's really what inspired the album. It's what I do, like who I am is the best way I could put it. No real like motive outside of that, like for the actual album, I see me making more albums, it's just who I am, I just like when an author writes a book, and I wanted to touch on different subjects, on the first album, I gave a lot of myself on the first album. And since that album, the second album came, and since that album, I've grown a lot. So it's just like my update, what I'm saying, of how ReachingNOVA is doing and how are you doing? And that's how I want my relationship with the listener to be.
So would you say your albums are kind of like a time capsule?
For me personally, yes. I do my best to make the music as timeless as possible.
So when you go through your, because I used to rap myself, what
nice.
I mean? And I was passionate about it.
It's still in you, I know that.
Come on!
Why, did you see the microphone? But anyway,
yes.
I could relate because like if I put one of my old songs on, there's a whole story behind what was going on in my life at that time that made me put that song together. And I could only imagine it's the same thing with you. Like some songs might remind you of previous relationships, friendships, loved ones that are no longer with us.
Moments in time.
Yeah.
No, sure. 100%.
So that's basically what your music is to you, right?
Essentially, yes. Yeah. A lot of it, like, it's like my diary almost, because I could hear a record and be like, damn, now a bunch of other doors open, like for yourself. If you play one of your records right now, not only will it take you back to that moment when you wrote it or maybe when you recorded it, but think how many performances, where did you perform that at? And who did you meet because of that? It's so many dynamics tied into a record or a creation or a book or even a blog. Something can happen in life and somebody sit there and blog about it and write about it and then like, come back to it 20 years later and wow, I remember that, and that's the beauty of documentation or recording and having artifacts of yourself because nobody else can do it for you. So these are our artifacts. Our records are our artifacts. Karev has a beautiful piece written about the album on heritagehiphop.com, and that's an artifact, bro. Like, and for me, it means a lot because Karev knows that I really, with all of you guys, when it comes to hip hop, man, I have a real respect for you guys because not only do I know that you guys are very knowledgeable, probably more knowledgeable than me on the actual genre, but I know that we are all of it. You know what I'm saying? Like it raised us. We know that just by how we talk, how we walk. You know what I'm saying? The lingo. We're not even. We don't even know each other for all of our life. But that right there is like an intersection, a segue for us to actually go somewhere, create a relationship or a bond. And the artifacts. Somebody wrote about this album at this time on this day. Who knows? But I bet there's a big possibility that if Karev, where were you when you wrote that? He probably remembers that. What were you going through? Maybe, you know, this is also for him. Anybody involved in a process is, you know, they have access to that artifact as well and the story behind it. And then when the world gets it, it means less for them based on what it means to us, but for them, it means their own thing, you know? If it touches them or hooks them in a point where, well, all right, this made me feel a way. That's usually what happens. Once it's deep, once it's rooted in, it's just like, whoa, I remember when I read this. I was driving to work. I don't even work there no more. Wow. You know, and just, that's the beauty of what we do. You know, all of us in this channel as creators, this blog, this vlog, this interview, bro. Like, this ain't going nowhere unless the internet gets unplugged. Like, I can come back to this when I'm retired and we're all wealthy and wherever we are in life, and I can just look back at this, see the version of myself speaking in this very moment with you guys.
We got interviews and concert footage from like 10 years ago of us, and I'm sure when we look back, we'll be like, oh shit, like I remember that, like, you know?
You know what, Tommy? I was just going through my phone, and I saw that cruise that we was all on.
Yeah, man. Like music is kind of, it marks just time and history. Like in some ways, maybe we're historians. I don't know. For example, Blueprint, that dropped the day the towers fell. Yeah, that's a moment in time. Like you're gonna think of Blueprint when you think of the towers falling. You know what I'm saying? And New York before that and after that, and how life changed. And then you hear it in the music. The hip hop has that power. It just, you know, look at the old school videos and just look, you know, sometimes like whether it's Naughty by Nature, just certain artists that are even a local, you look at them and like, oh shit, like I remember those projects, or I remember that block. And now you look at it, now it's like nice and, you know, gentrified and shit. You go to a lot of these spots that these artists were talking about, they either don't exist or they don't exist in that form anymore. So it's, hip hop documents history. So I mean, we're in our own ways, whether it's on the musical aspect or the documentation of whatever, we're all historians in our own way.